A couple of weeks ago, I found out that a beloved member of one of the congregations that I used to serve had passed away. His name was Bob, and I received an email from his family asking if I, as his former minister, would write a short message that could be shared at his memorial service. The very first thing that came to my mind was a particular evening years ago in a discussion group that I was leading at that church. We were sitting around and we were exploring religious terms like God and faith. And Bob was having none of it. He shared his distaste for anything that even hinted at the supernatural. He told the group that he could never believe in anything that was not factual and scientifically provable. Bob was not the only person in that group that night, and I would venture not the only person here in this congregation right now who feels that way. I remember asking Bob, Bob, what is most important in your life? Without hesitation, he immediately said, well, that's easy. My wife, Janet, and my grandchildren. That led me to suggest to Bob that maybe what we value most, what brings life meaning, might include some very intangible things. Things like love and relationships, which are not scientifically explainable or always completely describable in factual terms. And perhaps ideas like God are kind of like that. A way of naming those parts of our lives that are very important, that are essential, yet remain mysterious and just beyond the grasp of our full control or understanding. Now, anytime two Unitarian Universalists gather, we can be pretty sure that we are going to find at least two slightly different approaches to this whole question of God. Often we UUs hold multiple, conflicting ideas about such matters, even just within ourselves. I think that's pretty cool myself, because it allows us to always consider new ways of thinking and believing. Now, in much of Western religion, God is seen as a supernatural being, a creative force that exists above us, or at least beyond us somewhere. Many people find great meaning in having an object to pray to, and get comfort from believing that there is something or someone larger than themselves that is watching over them. From this perspective, God is a noun. God is a thing, often a personified presence, which loves some, which judges others, which gets angry at times, and is apparently often very disappointed in us, I have heard. Now, recently, I find myself more and more attracted to a different approach to this whole idea of God. Christian Science founder Mary Baker Eddy, among others, envisioned God as not being a noun or a thing, but a verb. Eddy wrote that God is the action of the universe, the creative and life-giving processes that make life and sustain it. For her and others, this God is a process, which we are all a part of, which we all contribute to. Now, recently, I was having a conversation about all this with some new folks right here at All Peoples. And as we were considering this question of, is God a verb or is God a noun or what is God? One person chimed in to say that her answer was none of the above. She said, to me, God is not a noun or a verb. God is a feeling. Well, the logical next question was, what feeling? The answer, God is love. Now, this set the entire conversation in a whole new direction, which, of course, only led to more interesting questions. This weekend was Valentine's Day. And according to legend, Valentinus, or St. Valentine, was martyred. He was killed for performing weddings for soldiers who were forbidden to marry under Roman law. He is said to have written a farewell letter shortly before his execution and signed it, "Your Valentine." Now, like so many other legendary characters who have become icons in our modern culture, very little is actually known about St. Valentine. So little, in fact, that the Roman Catholic Church removed him from their formal list of saints, even though some parishes, and of course many of us, still celebrate his feast day anyway. While Valentine's Day has been commercialized into being a holiday that's all about candy and flowers and cards, it is really a holiday about love. And just as the real facts about St. Valentine are shrouded in mystery, love itself can be a somewhat hazy, slippery thing to define. We say things like, God is love. We say things like, I love the taste of Kentucky bourbon. We sing songs like, love is a many splendid thing. I think I heard a whole bunch of you all just earlier in the service say that love is the center of our church. Love is a word that we throw around a lot. We use it both casually and very intently. But whenever it crosses our lips or our minds, we are, in a sense, declaring an emotional reaction to something. Now, medical researchers and biologists tell us that what we think of, or what we call love, is caused by a mixture of hormones and chemicals in our bodies. The neurotransmitters in our brains, dopamine, serotonin, and adrenaline, and the hormones estrogen and testosterone, fire and rush us about us. They bring about those sensations of pleasure and lust and delight. Biological anthropologist Helen Fisher of Rutgers University has documented in brain scans that newly love-struck couples often experience a chemical-induced euphoria from all this, quite similar to taking a hit of cocaine. The hormone oxytocin is released during childbirth and seems to help drive that emotional bond between a mother and a child. And another hormone called vasopressin has been documented to be much more plentiful in couples who are in long-term relationships than in people who are single. The more that we study and analyze our bodies, the more we are coming to understand that all of our emotions, not only our love, but our fears and our desires, our ability to love, are all directly tied to the release of various chemicals and substances up here. So we can say that this thing called love is really just all in our heads. Now, while that may be true, it does not make the experience of love any less meaningful or powerful or important. It does not make it as any more or less mysterious. When we first meet that Mr. Right and have that, love at first sight thing, when we snuggle into bed with our dog or our spouse, when we are overcome by a piece of music, brought to tears by a personal story, we are not consciously aware or even concerned that dopamine and serotonin are all at work up here. We are feeling something. We are living a sensation and being changed by it. When we affirm together that love is the center of our church, we are not declaring that certain brain chemicals are what holds us together in religious community. We are talking about something more, something deeper. We are talking about a quality of experience and a character of relationship that we are seeking to cultivate with the people around us here and with everything around us everywhere. We love what we care most deeply about. We love what we value. We love who and what we feel we can count on. We love that which connects us to our best selves. Saying that love is the center of our church is promising. Promising to commit to try to encounter life with that caring spirit. Cherishing the worth and the dignity of other people. Building relationships of mutuality. And striving to let our goodness guide us. Maybe it also means aligning ourselves in ways that help create opportunities for those feel-good hormones and chemicals to do their thing on us. And of course, in return, helping produce some love in the brains of the folks that we encounter. Rebecca Parker, the former president of the Star King School of the Ministry, put it this way. She wrote, "Your gifts, whatever you discovered them to be, can be used to bless the world or to curse the world. The mind's power, the strength of hands, the reaches of the heart, any of these can serve to feed the hungry, to bind up the wounded, to welcome the stranger, to praise what is sacred, to do the work of justice, to offer love. We must choose to bless the world." The choice to bless the world is an act of recognition. It is a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty, amazing grace, deep mystery still abide. Parker writes, "The choice to bless the world will draw us into the comfort of human relationship, into the company of earth and the chorus of life, welcoming us. The choice to love the world will draw us into the embrace of kindness." Now, back in our little discussion about God that I was having with newcomers here at the church recently, we started to delve a little bit deeper into that idea of God being a feeling, God being love. Now, some in the group were a little uncomfortable with saying that ultimate holiness was something as subjective as an emotion. If God is love, they asked, then what about all that stuff in life that is not so loving? Of course, others were not so sure. They wanted to make God something as uncontrollable as feelings. I mean, what if what is most sacred can't just change depending on our mood? It needs to be a little bit more solid, a little more constant than that, they said. We were all hesitant to embrace any easy answers to these ultimate religious questions. But as we talked, something miraculous just seemed to happen. Together, we gradually ended up turning this whole idea around completely. If we love what we care most deeply about, if we love what we value, if we love who and what we count on, if we love that which connects us to our best selves, then maybe God is not love itself, but rather God is what we love. Now, this seems to me to follow Paul Tillich's definition of religion. He said that religion is the state of being ultimately concerned. In his book, The Courage to Be, Tillich says that faith involves both rationality and emotion, but transcends them both. In seeing God as what is of ultimate concern, or that for which we have infinite passion, Tillich points out that what we are concerned about, what we are most passionate about, has the power to transform us, has the power to heal us and destroy us. Now that sounds an awful like love to me. Whether it is the person who makes your heart jump, whether it's an ideal of justice and liberation that we are committed to, or maybe just the taste of a very fine Kentucky bourbon, what we call love, what we give ourselves to and turn our spirits towards, does have the power to bring out the best in us, or sometimes the worst in us as well. It can heal or destroy us. And of course, that's what makes it so potent, so mysterious, so amazing, so worthy of our attention. It seems to me that whenever we get together in community, here in this sanctuary or in lots of other places, as all peoples, there is this energy that gets produced. I can feel it, and I hope you can too. And I hope those of you out there online this morning can feel a little bit of it as well. Together here in this place, we are creating bonds of love all the time. We are producing love in our music, in our songs, in our words, in our stories, in our sharing, in our presence for one another. These are difficult and disheartening times. So much division and hatred and exclusion is on the rise out there in the world. But we need the love that we can make together. We need it not only to comfort us, but to also bring us inspiration. We need it to inspire us to speak up, to show up, to speak out, to share some of what we have, to spread that love however we can. Now, I got to tell you, I was all set to end up this sermon with a big call to action. We had a march in solidarity with immigrants this afternoon. It has unfortunately been canceled because of the snow. But we are going to have lots of other upcoming opportunities to show up, to be present, to spread and share love with other people right here in Louisville. And I hope that you will come and join us. My friends, today and in all our days to come, may we be people who keep letting love define us and unite us. Keep being people who let love encourage us not to give up, not to give in. May we be the people who let love bring us together. Amen. So may it be. Now, we are going to end up our service this morning with a little of that feel-good energy, a little bit of that love energy. Our closing song today was made popular by the 70s duo, The Captain and Tennille. And it holds a very special place in my heart because Toni Tennille, her great-grandmother, and my mother's great-grandmother were sisters. So I have always thought of her as a part of my family. I invite you to rise in body, spirit, or voice as we sing, Love Will Keep Us Together.